Hi everyone, I'm so back with part 3 of week 27. So this is part 1 of Joe's stag do weekend. So obviously I wanted to include quite a few bits and pieces. He sent me a load of photos and I just really wanted to include it because obviously it's a big part of our life and obviously a big part for Joe as well. So I wanted to include this. Apologies for the lighting, it's very odd. I don't know if it was just the time of the day or my camera hadn't adjusted. It does get a little bit better, but it just seems very dark at the moment. But so this part I'm actually using the Deco Time collection. It hasn't got a name or anything like that, but it's a very stereotypical masculine collection of papers, cut aparts and stickers. It's got everything on there. There's very typical, to a man, basically. There's a lot of barbecues, there's a lot of construction, there's a lot of army and space and just stereotypically men's hobbies as such. There's a lot of beer as well and things like that. So obviously, that's not everything that Joe's into, but this stag do did pretty much tick all those boxes. A very stereotypical masculine weekend. So I wanted to use it, and as I said, I don't get to use it very often because it's not something that I would use for a full week. So it was quite nice to be able to, use up some bits and pieces that I've had for a while. And I haven't used one of those Deco Time ones for a while because I've not really had the occasion to. So as I said, it's nice to get things out your stash and start using things. I'm actually going through quite a lot of the paper, so it'd be quite nice to be able to sort of get through most of that. There was the paper is actually really nice. There's a lot of little quirky things that I can use, and obviously the colours matched as well. There's a lot of bright colours and also a lot of black and white, so it just matches quite nicely. The washi tape I'm using is just like this black geometric one, and I've got a lot of 3x4 photos, so I am putting them together obviously to make 6x4s, and I'm just going to flick through the pack and, as I said, just pull out anything that I think that matches. So there was a pair of sunglasses, so that first photo was a picture of Joe with the best man's son, and he's really cute. Obviously we've been out for a few times with those, but yeah, they just bumped into him actually because they were taking him out for a day whilst the best man was meeting Joe, so they bumped into each other, so that was quite nice. And there's just a picture of Joe with his sort of first beer of the weekend. So what did he do? So he went to Chester, which is a really nice part up north here in the UK, and they actually went for a night out, but they did like a spa and they did football and they did a very sort of chilled but also a typical sort of stag do. So they met and they got the train over to Chester, and then they had some beers and then they watched the football. So it was part of the Euros, so they obviously wanted to watch that, and luckily England won that, so that obviously made the night better. I'm not sure how it would have ended up if they didn't win, but England won, so that was always a good thing. And then Joe actually had a spa treatment and they chilled in the spa for a while before they headed out for the evening, and they went out for most of the night. I think Joe rolled in about 3 a.m. because I got a text at 3:45 saying that he was just heading to bed. He had a really, really good weekend. There was about 7-8 of them, so it wasn't a massive group, which was quite nice because no one got lost. But everyone sort of stuck together, but there was a few, messy heads, I think, that evening, obviously the next day, based on what Joe was telling me. But I'm just glad he had a really good time. I don't worry about him at all on a night out because I know he's not a stupid person. He doesn't get himself into silly situations. He does, he's not a silly drunk, so, and also he doesn't drink that much anyway, so it doesn't really take that much to get him drunk. So he's not an expensive drunk either, which is quite good because bank balances wise, I don't want that to come down massively. But no, it was obviously a good time. So I'm just going to use some of these bits and pieces. So I've obviously used a beer piece, couldn't think what I was going to say then, and a little happy sticker. There's also going to be a football pitch, which actually fits the card quite nicely because I wasn't too sure what I was going to put there, but there was a football pitch and also a football as well, so I can put that on there. And then, as I said, I'm just going to fill in these gaps because there's no cut aparts or anything like that. They're literally just little die cuts. So I'm just sort of makeshifting as I go, which is quite nice, as I said, to use up what you've got rather than constantly using the things that are easy to use. However, I did think I had a photo play collection that was all very masculine themed, but I feel like it was a birthday one because I just couldn't find it. I was searching for all my different themed packs and I couldn't find anything. apart from the birthday one. So maybe it was a birthday one, but I always thought I had like a masculine one from Photo Play. But I knew I had this, and I thought, why not use it, sort of thing, because as I said, it's quite difficult to use. I used a little bit on a previous page once upon a time, but I haven't managed to use a lot of it since then. So it's quite nice to flick through them and use bits and pieces. So there's loads of little word die cuts, which is always nice. I always like those to be at the top. I actually was going to put that on the 3x4, but I decided to take out the 6x4 and put it down the bottom with the camera piece. Just because obviously it's like the start, so it's like have a good time sort of thing. And then, yeah, so there's some pictures of obviously Joe getting ready for the spa. And then what they did do, so they bought him a really snazzy shirt, like a typical tourist shirt, with pictures of me on him, which is not good because they're like pictures of when I was much younger, and probably not the most flattering ones, but obviously that's what they were going for. But yeah, so he had pictures of me on his shirt all evening, so he actually wore that for the rest of the day. And then for the football, instead of giving him an England flag, they gave him a Switzerland flag, which is obviously the opponent's team flag. So he got some dirty looks whilst he was out at the pub with a different flag on him. To the point, actually, he was telling me a story where there was these women that were seated across from him, and they were throwing ice cubes at him because they generally thought that he was obviously a Switzerland supporter, and they were like, they couldn't believe that he come to a pub surrounded by England supporters. But when the best man actually had to approach them in the end and say he's on a stag do, like we're just winding him up, and they were very apologetic, but I can't believe he was getting ice cubes thrown at him purely because of that. So yeah, you're not very welcome, unfortunately, if you end up showing your different flag in the Euros or the World Cup over here. So yeah, and there's another picture of the flag wrapped around him, one outside the hotel and two just actually in the pub itself. I'm actually very happy with them all. They did get some really good photos. I did tell Joe, I said, like, please take some photos, like you'll want them in the end, but just be mindful that you will want some photos. And they did, so we got loads of them, which is always nice. I definitely feel like my scrapbooking has influenced Joe in a way that he wants to take more photos because he knows that he likes to look back on them. He actually really enjoys my project life and thinks it's something that I should continue doing. At first, when I first told him about it, he said like, oh, well, you know, it's a lot and, you know, we'll be able to keep up with it and things. But since I've been doing it, he's really enjoyed it and he loves looking through them. And yeah, I think he's just appreciative that his memories as well as mine are obviously getting documented. So yeah, they did get some really good photos. So they got a big group photo. They got a couple of group photos actually, which is always nice to include everyone in there, because I think after the football, things started to get a little bit messy, and I don't think all of them made it out because a few of them were a bit too drunk. So they did actually manage to get some photos of them all before they all disappeared into different sections. So a few people went home, a few people went and did something else, but they all sort of ended up back together again, which is good. So yeah, just got some nice photos of them all. So I'm going to use that 6x4 pocket to put that photo in. And then I do decide I was going to use that black and white paper that I'm just taking out now as the title card, but I thought it was quite difficult because it's quite distracting. So I decided to use this army one instead. I'm going to write, do my title card on that one instead. And then I use the black and white one just in the bottom. So yeah, it was just a really, it's always nice. It's always finding quite difficult scrapbooking other people's things because I wasn't there, so I can't sort of, I know the obviously vibe of a stag do, but I wasn't there, so I can't tell their stories or anything. So I will be doing a little bit of journaling, but not absolutely loads. So I've got this piece of journaling card here that's obviously got a few lines that I can write a bit about it. I might even get Joe to write it. I haven't written it yet, but I might actually get him to write it because it is his story at the end of the day. And I can say, Joe went off his stag do and he did this, this and this. It's all very factual, but Joe might be able to write something a bit more meaningful in there. So yeah, I might actually, now that I've said that, I actually might get Joe to write it instead, which is quite a good idea. So I'm just going to decorate it with some bits and pieces around the edges. There was actually a cut apart that said Happy Beer Day, which I thought was quite cute. And that's obviously going to be the main part of the journaling. I do have a little bit of space, I think, on the second layout that I can write on. But the majority will be on this side because I had that 6x4 piece free. So for the title, I'm just going to use my alpha stamps to stamp stag do, and then just use some of the cut parts just to sort of fill in the gaps really. I wanted to use these flags because I do struggle with flags because I always never know where to put them. It normally blocks out a lot of the photos when you've got a 6x4 photo, so it's quite difficult. So I thought if I use those, I can not get rid of them, but they're done then, and also they're not blocking anything. And obviously it matches with the theme of the whole football vibe and that sort of thing. So yeah, and then I do use a football shirt. Well, I don't think it's a football shirt, but it's a sports t-shirt that obviously I can use for that. So I'm going to use my Ellie Studio stamps that I always use, and I'm just going to stamp stag do, and then I do actually stamp the dates as well. So he was actually going to have his stag do a bit earlier than this, rather than 2 weeks before the wedding, but it just fell that everyone had the same weekend off here, so it just went perfectly. We didn't want anyone not to be able to come, so it meant that everyone could come on this weekend. So that was it really, and it did land on my long weekend, which meant that I could just get some bits done without feeling like me and Joe have to spend all this time together. We both had different things to do, so it felt quite good to be able to be productive and get some bits done for myself basically, and then Joe could obviously have his time with his friends. So yeah, so I do stamp it all together just so it's quite straight. I do struggle with getting my stamp straight. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if I'm doing a technique wrong. I just really struggled to get it in a straight line. So I did try really hard this time to make sure it was straight, and I think I did quite a good job. It's the same with writing. I can't write straight and I can't cut straight either. So it's just one of those things. I did read actually that apparently if you've got astigmatism, that it does affect you. So whether it's that, I don't know, but I just struggle to write straight, cut straight, stamp straight, everything. I just can't do it without a ruler. So I'm going to invest in some better stamp blocks, I think, so I can just stamp a bit better. There might be something I'm missing. I need to start researching a bit more. I do want to get more into stamping because, as I said, with alpha stickers, like they just disappear and you just run out of the vowels very, very quickly, and so stamping just seems the best way forward. But I want some good inks. I've got some StazOn inks, but they're very dark. I'd like some lighter ones, so I'm trying to find some really nice lighter stamping colours that are really good. So if anyone's got any recommendations, let me know, because I do struggle to find the ones that I see people use. I just never see the actual company that they're using. I've seen the actual ink block and what they come out as, but I never see the front of the pad, so I don't know which company they're from. But yeah, so this was the third part. I'll be back with the second part of his stag do. Thank you very much. Bye.